Buenas noches. Aquí estamos en la clase. Otra vez. Al ataque, ¿no? Al ataque. Del frente. See, if I'd have grown up only speaking Spanish, that is all I'd be able to say. So this was supposed to be about the pyramids now. But I've been dropping little tiny moon landing hints all weekend. The Tyson Fury page, and everyone's biting. They did go! People think I'm a conspiracy theorist maniac, lunatic. But 9 out of 10 people who believe in the moon landings and come back real annoyed, yes they did, are from the US. And so I said to one of the last guys I spoke to, we've been back and forth 3 or 4 times today on Facebook, and in my reply I said, but can you be objective? Because we're talking about being objective. He goes, yeah. I said, how can you be objective? You're from the US. Of course you think you went to the moon. I've lived in the US twice, once as a kid and once as an adult. And I know how popular NASA is. And I know they go to the schools, right? So it's taught. You cannot be objective in that situation. It doesn't matter what anyone says. You cannot be objective. Where's my cloth gone? It's just physically and mentally impossible. The country that you live in has taught you that you own space and that your people went to the moon. Right. You're never going to be able to be objective. You're always going to think that you guys went to the moon. It's obvious, isn't it? It's common sense. So, education. Because they definitely did not go to the moon. And the reason why I keep saying it is because the altitude was 367,000 feet. 10, keep repeating it, 10 times passenger plane altitude, cruising altitude. Alright? It was travelling at 5,600 km per hour. That's 7 times passenger jet speed. But passenger plane. And it's 4.6 times speed of sound. And the other one, what is it? It was travelling 1,200 kilometres faster than the fastest bullet, which was the Winchester Magnum 233 Super Short or something like that. Because that travelled at 44, the fastest bullet ever. Right? It's a 2, 3, what was it? Oh, I can't remember, but it's a Winchester Magnum round. That's how fast it was going, and that is the altitude it was at. And I'm saying no. The people are going, yeah, it was the, what's it, retro rockets and this, that, and the other, but nobody seems to be talking about the vacuum anymore. It's almost like it's just not a problem, right? It never used to be like that when I was a youngster. There's a lot of dramas with the vacuum. It seems to have gone off of the table. There's usually a reason for that. to all of the US people that are constantly hounding me because of what I'm saying, if this was the Russians, right, and they claim the moon, right, in this situation, and they didn't give us an explanation for the descent, like it's not in any of the timelines, there's no recording of it, no video of it, no nothing of it, you can't be going off your head. Yeah. But it's not an issue here, is it? Now that's what objective is, right? You cannot be objective because you've been taught the moon landings. You own space. So the US has decided how old the universe is because of the speed of light. That's a lie, right? It is because Roma did not work out the speed of light, nor did Bradley, nor did Wheatstone, nor did the next guy next. So who did? When did it first start? You will never, ever be able to look at this objectively because you're from the US. It's what you've been taught, all right? It's the facts. It was 1969. 1969. Six successful landings? Are you serious? It's insane. Apollos 15, 16 and 17, moon buddies weighing half a ton, 460 or 480 kilos. 1969, no mobile phones. You've seen what Artemis is like. Space is a tough gig. You don't go up there 6 times. Actually, hang on. Apollo 10 doesn't ever get much of a mention, and it should, because it is Apollo 10. It was Apollo 10 who took the pictures that Apollo 11 used. That's what Neil used. Apollo 10, yeah. Took pictures, right? So, you thought Apollo 11 was good. Apollo 10, right? Didn't miss this, see? Right? It comes down. And how far, Alexa, how fast was Apollo 10 travelling when it took the photographs of the moon that Armstrong used to land?
From NBCnews.com, the crew of NASA's Apollo 10 moon mission reached a top speed of 24,791 miles per hour, 39,897 kilometers per hour, relative to Earth as they rocketed back to our planet on May 26, 1969.
That isn't what I asked, though, is it, really? Alexa, at what altitude did the crew of Apollo 10 take photographs of the moon, please?
From letstalkscience.ca, the crew of Apollo 10 went to the moon and brought their LM down to 15 kilometers above the lunar surface.
Right. So 15 kilometers. Alexa, how fast was Apollo 10 travelling when it reached an altitude of 15 kilometers above the moon and they were about to take the photographs?
From daviddarling.info, the Apollo 10 crew achieved the highest speed ever attained by human beings, 39,896 kilometers per hour.
That's just under the escape velocity from planet Earth. Alexa, did Apollo 10 slow down over the moon to take the photographs?
From astronautics.com, A stabilized retrorocket fired at 500 miles above the moon would slow the instrument package sufficiently to permit 20 photographs to be transmitted at a rate of 1 picture per minute.
But they didn't transfer, did they? Because they took them back, right? So, Alexa, did the crew of Apollo 10 slow the lander down when they approached the moon to take the photographs?
From fandom.com. Because the moon has no atmosphere, it is necessary to use rockets to slow the lunar lander's descent to about 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, to ensure an intact landing, and slower still to guarantee its passengers a soft landing.
100 mile an hour is a soft landing. Pretty sure that's what she said. Look, so Apollo 10, it didn't go to the moon, went very close, as we heard, 15 Ks. I mean, it would have still been zipping along, because it has to travel, remember, at 5,600 kilometers an hour. That's the orbiting speed. So you have to, that's the minimum. Alexa, did Apollo 10 did Apollo 10 land on the moon before taking the photos? So I might be able to trick her.
From wikipedia.org. Like Apollo 8, Apollo 10 orbited the moon but did not land.
All right, so anyway. So yeah, they took pics of wherever, and then skyrocketed back up, joined the guy, you know, the guy that does the orbits on his own, because there's always that one guy, isn't there? Michael Collins, right? All that travelling, and then left to orbit the moon. Was it 30 times on his own? There was no anxiety shown by Neil or Buzz, nothing. So many smoking guns. So yes, that's out of the mouth, isn't it? Oh, is that sharp, isn't it? God. So bad, is it? Can't see the... Bad at all. Anyway, being objective. So if you're from the US, you will never be able to look at this as a lie, right? So there's only one thing you can do from here. Can you at least accept that you will be looking at this subjectively? Can you at least admit to yourselves, right, that you will not be able to look at this objectively? Obviously, you can't. So obviously not, right? If you can admit to yourself that you're obviously subjective when you look at this, when somebody tells you, no, it didn't happen, you're like, shut up, it did. You don't even care about the info. You don't care about anything that other person's got to say. Moon landing, Neil Armstrong, that's who you are as a nation. But if you can admit to yourself that, yes, I do admit that I would find it nearly impossible to look at this objectively thinking about it because I'm from the US. And yes, NASA did come to the schools. And my parents did believe that, and bang, bang, bang. Because for these things to stick, they need to be taught to the children. Same as religion is taught to the children. You want to get that devil in there nice and early so it spooks them for the rest of their lives. Has to be the children. Climate change. You have to teach the children because the children are the future. And it's in the delicate younger years, what they learn in the emotional years, that 2, 3 to 9, 10, 11, the emotional years. That's where the damage is done. That is where they get to the children. And it's a fact, right? So that is why this isn't just a moon landing for you, it's who you are. It's your country, the US of A. I've lived there, I've lived in a lot of countries, and this is probably why my brain was never ripped out of my head and given a chip to obey, because I always moved on to somewhere else, like not knowing. That is why I am always objective. I don't take sides. I haven't got a side to take. Simple. So I do look at things objectively, because if one fact came along that proved that they did go to the moon, I would just go, well, okay, they did. Sorry, we missed this fact. But there are none. You think you have facts, but you don't. You think you have evidence, but you don't. And your response is always, prove that they didn't go. How can we prove they didn't go, even though they didn't go, if you believe that they did go, even though they didn't go? It's ridiculous. There's no explanation for this. If that had been Russia or India or China had pulled this stunt, the US would have been going, what? You have got to do a McEnroe. You gotta be kidding, the ball was in. You'd be going off your nut. Where is the explanation, USSR? Where is the explanation? And that's a fact. So that's it. 18 men. 3 years. 6 successful. And then we've got Apollo 13. So that's 8 up there. And that was a successful mission because it did what it was supposed to do. Distraction. Otherwise, everything would have been way too perfect, wouldn't it? 6 launches, 6 moon landings, 6 moon takeoffs, 6 re-entries, 6 splashdowns. Hey, we're back. 1969. Faster than a speeding bullet. 4.6 times speed of sound. 7 times the speed of a passenger plane. And 10 times the altitude. I mean, you see those little chemtrails? You wouldn't even be able to see those. They're so high up. But everybody's happy with this explanation. Retro rockets. In a vacuum. Why don't we talk about the vacuum anymore? What about this resistance? What is there all of a sudden, it just kind of died, didn't it? A lot of the youngsters don't know this, but it did, it just died. It's like we don't talk about it anymore. All we have is Newton's third. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But that was thought up hundreds of years ago. Well, it wasn't really, because it was fed in, wasn't it? It was just fed in because it was needed. It was needed for the space race. But those of you who can't look at this objectively are going to believe that this absurdity, this impossible pre-mobile phone era, that they just and no mention of it. The best part of the movie, the most action, the hardest, the difficult, the bit everybody wanted to see. Not in any timeline. There's just smoke and gun. Like tomorrow's the pyramids. I've got a surprise as well. Made a surprise. Nearly finished it. Buenas noches.